What's up, you guys? Sean Ross Sapp here for the Fightful Wrestling Podcast. This one airs March 9th. Everything's a mess this week. Shane was gone last week. Matt doesn't get in until Friday. Showdown Joe's gone. Elias is out dicking around in California with Brendan Schaub and doing movies and all this stuff. You would think that people might be a little bit busy. One of those men is Shane Helms. Shane, did you do anything interesting last weekend?
You know what I went through this last week, man? I went through some things. You're about
to go through some more things.
I went through.
You're about to go through some more things.
With the A things.
We're going to talk about some of it without giving away too much of what's going to air. I'll say this: it makes sense why you were eating all those damn sensible portions meals.
Boom, son. I was. If you seen my post last September. Had a little doctor's appointment and I weighed in at 239, and I'm about 195 right now. So yeah, my woman has been whooping my ass.
You had to get that down before Francis Ngannou called you out.
I did, man. I got to drop down to 185. I want to be a middleweight. But yeah, man, everything's going good. Staying really busy. I just did a cool interview on AskMen.com, their field section. So things are going good, man. And
You're looking in good shape, Shane.
The TNA thing's been crazy, as you well know. And
what is TNA? What is TNA?
Oh yeah. I done fucked up already. Impact. I'm sorry. Look, I'm already about to get
talking about me bootlegging other people's shit. You're not even using the right name for your company.
That was the improper use of the word bootleg. So once again, you fucking up.
Whatever.
That's 2 strikes.
So I talked to a lot of people. That move was pretty popular. Moving from TNA to Impact. Everybody that I talked to said, yeah, this was long overdue. And one person said that Dixie was the main person who wanted to hold on to it because of the history behind the name. What did you think about the move?
I didn't give a shit either way. I was one of those stupid little selling points or people that want to jump on just to have some kind of bandwagon conversation about, the name didn't bother me. I understood that the connotation behind it might have left some people. I thought the simple fix for it was in the logo just to say what TNA means. Don't have just the letters, have total nonstop action, say what the letters mean, and then the confusion is gone. It's not like we're some it's just a wrestling company. And you really think changing the name is going to do anything if all the other stuff doesn't change? That has absolutely zero to do with anything. But, people are fucking bandwagon people. They're sheep. They hear one talking point. It must be real if you say it enough. So,
well, I mean, to be fair, if I start a fighting company next week, if you and I start a fighting company, we're not going to name it Balls Fighting.
But if you did, I would watch it. And if I liked it, I would watch it. And whether some other person didn't like the name wouldn't affect whether I watched it or not. See, I'm not one of these cheap people, man. I like shit because I like it, not because other people like it.
Oh, God.
That's we're on to something. See, you got to understand that's the difference between a leader mentality and a follower mentality.
I'm just asking the fucking question, Shane.
He's trying to educate, man. You got to listen. Don't fight the education. Accept the education. But I mean,
has your role changed at all?
I like the name Impact. Let me finish, dummy. I like the name Impact. It's either or to me. Like I said, I don't give a shit if it's going to be TNA. I would still be just as happy with the show. If it's Impact, I'm just as happy with the show. I really don't give a shit either way.
Has your role changed in any way since the new management has taken over?
Not really. We just did a lot of hours we put in. And so, I'm still an agent producer, still on air talent. And I'm still going to throw out my creative ideas whenever given the opportunity and given the chance. So no real specifics about any change.
Now, I remember when I talked to you last year, before we ever did a podcast, I asked you about the direction of the X division because you're not only agenting stuff like that, but you on screen are put right in the middle of that. Is that coming together the way that you hoped? You all brought in a few new names. I don't want to say a familiar face, a familiar character. You all did a lot of things that added to the X division at these tapings.
Yeah, we got off track a little bit, where my vision of what we were doing with the belt when we did the like Mike Bennett storyline where he got it and stuff like that, I thought kind of took away from the belt. I like what we did with Eddie Edwards and using the belt that, not necessarily calling it a stepping stone, but if you have the X Division, it would allow you a shot at the World Heavyweight Championship. If you have the X Division Championship, I'm not opposed to that, but for that division that really stands out, it kind of needs to be left alone. It's lost its identity for the best of reasons because that style got over. And so what is it now? That's something I've been fighting for since I've been there to reestablish the identity of what the X Division means. I like bringing in new guys, and it doesn't mean we got to sign them to 30-year contracts. Let's just bring in new talent here and there. Let's pop the crowd and see what they can do. And if they're good, then we keep them around. If they don't, okay, well, let's try again in a little bit. But at the same time, some of the guys we got to use them and establish them and find out who they are. Find out, we know they're great wrestlers. Anybody in that division that we've seen is good in the ring, but who are they on that microphone? Who are they, backstage? That's where your character and personality comes out.
I spoke to Jim Ross yesterday, and one of the things he put over was even at the last set of tapings, the story arc of Josh Barnett. He came in, one set of tapings, he had a beginning, a middle, and an end, and now he's out of there, but it's set up to where if he pops up again, TNA fans or Impact fans know who he is. Do you see this regime doing that as well? Because from somebody who just, I just wrote down the damn spoilers I was sent, you don't know necessarily who will be there long-term, who will be there short-term, but a lot of people were brought in.
Yeah, and I love the unpredictability of Impact. That's something I've been preaching forever, and I stand by that. It's amazing to me. It still is. And that this show could be taped in advance and it's still more unpredictable than the live shows that we see. And that is the damn truth. It's so unpredictable that sometimes even we don't know what's going to happen. And this goes, and this is me talking about people who don't read the spoilers. Like if you read the spoilers, don't try to say that things are predictable when you read the spoilers. Yeah. You did that shit to yourself. But to the fan that doesn't read the spoilers, you watch our show, man, you can't sit there and predict all the winners. You can't predict what's going to happen. It's a very unpredictable show, and I like that. I think we got to be careful about bringing guys in too much and so that becomes the norm, because then we lose the shock value of it. I want to do a little bit here and there. We got to have our core group of roster that we build around and work around. It's like any TV show, it's like Seinfeld. You can have these little guest appearances here and there, but you still got the main core, so we got to stick with our core guys that are good. And we got a, really talented roster to choose from. So we're lucky in that aspect.
Well, one of the talking points obviously was a lot of old TNA backstage names coming back. Now, when I would play, not even devil's advocate, this is how I feel. These names were around when TNA was at its peak. They knew what it took to get TNA there. And you see Dutch Mantel, you see Jeff Jarrett, you see Bruce Pritchard. Personally, I would consider those all positive moves. Bruce has a wildly successful podcast. Jeff knows the formula to make Impact work. And Dutch has been around. What do you think that a guy like Dutch Mantel has to give in 2017 where some people may think, some people may wonder?
Well, Dutch is really intelligent. So that's one thing that he brings to the table. It doesn't matter what year it is. But you got to have that old school vibe. I'm a big fan of the variety that pro wrestling can be. It doesn't have to be just one style. I like the old school. I like the new school. I like whatever the future school is going to be. And so we need somebody that's been there and done that. So when you bring up ideas, it's always good to have somebody that goes, hey, I've actually seen that idea work before, or a similar idea. And maybe it worked, maybe it didn't, and here's why. It's good to have the Wise Owl. Maybe maybe that's why the Owl anthem is there. It's a metaphor for Dutch Mantel. So, and Bruce, Bruce was there in on the biggest stage of them all for many, many years. So, by the same token as with Dutch, he's been there, he's seen it all, he's done it all. So he's got a good point of view of what works and what doesn't work. But he seems to be really open in these brief dealings with him, these last tapings. He's really open to suggestion, talking back and forth. I didn't work with Bruce a lot in WWE, and we were talking about that this week. my Hurricane character, I wasn't a guy that needed a lot of direction. A lot of the stuff that the Hurricane did and the development of that character came from myself anyway. And I wasn't a guy that needed to be handheld or led along. You kind of come to me with bullet points, and I would make promos my own, and I would make backstage segments my own. So I didn't have to, a lot of characters, even some of the most famous ones in WWE, WWF history, and TNA for that matter, WCW for that matter. Some of those characters have to be walked along like little kids to get where you want them to be. I never really needed that stuff. So, we didn't do a lot of work together. I got a good Bruce story if you want to hear it, though.
Of course.
I was, and stop me if I told you this one before, but I was in a limousine with Bruce and Vince McMahon. This was during the during the feud of Kane and Triple H, which some of you might know as the Katie Vick Vick Angle era. Terror, should be called Terror. And so we were doing this skit where it was going to be a gentleman laying on a hospital bed with a Triple H mask on, and there were going to be objects pulled out of his ass.
This sounds familiar.
With the last object being Triple H's head, the joke being that his head is up his own ass. Okay. Now, for some reason, that has to be me on that table with this Triple H mask on. Because I was teaming with Kane around this time. We either were the tag team champions or we had, shortly thereafter, we'd already lost them. But I was still kind of married to Kane at this point. And so it needs to be me on this hospital bed with a Triple H mask and the story being things are being poured out of my ass. Yeah. Yay, wrestling, right?
So not only was that put on the back burner, it was brought back for a Jim Ross storyline years later. So they saved that one. And they were like, ooh, that's a good one. Let's save it for a rainy day.
Yeah. So anyway, we're in the I think about that storyline sometimes, and I was like, I remember my amateur career, and I'm like, I got 22 gold medals, and now I'm gonna be on this hospital bed having objects yanked out of my ass. But
oh my God, you're a top merch seller around this point, and you're having merchandise pulled out of your ass.
Well, they weren't really up there. Let me go ahead and just clarify. There's nothing actually there. So anyway, we're in a limousine and going to the location. Because Vince wants to oversee this. He's going to direct it, and Bruce is there producing. So, and in that limousine, Bruce is trying to sell Vince McMahon on John Cena.
Oh.
Yeah. So he's trying to tell him about the freestyle, how he's a freestyle rapper, how he's got all this energy, how good he is. And Vince is like, what do you mean he raps? And I remember that shit like it was yesterday. What do you mean he raps?
Oh my gosh.
Just what I said. And Vince looked at me like, not necessarily for my approval. I would just happen to be the other guy in the fucking car. And he looked at me and I was like, it's like, yeah, I said, well, that's the kind of music I grew up on. And, he's really good, especially like if you understand how difficult freestyling is and how good Cena really is at it, it's pretty damn impressive. Yeah. So that was just a pretty little interesting tidbit of the business that, I happened to be in the car when Bruce is trying to sell John Cena, who would go on to become the biggest, one of the biggest acts ever in the entire industry, to Vince. And Vince just had no fucking idea what he was talking about. What do you mean he raps?
Who are some rappers Vince McMahon knows? Maybe the Sugar Hill Gang?
I doubt any. Maybe Run DMC. Didn't they appear on Run DMC?
Yeah.
Snoop Dogg. Anybody that's appeared on WrestleMania, he probably knows. Kid Rock.
I would say somehow in 2002, he and Kevin Dunn knew who Flo Rida is because they can't get him off the fucking show at all. He's going to be there at WrestleMania too. Man. Another question somebody had. Did you hear anything about the possibility of running live events, going on the road?
Yeah, they're still pushing for that. This new company is really being like definitely not playing it safe because they're throwing money, into pro wrestling and into any entertainment, which is never playing it safe. The entertainment industry in all forms is always a risky venture, but they're going about it with a more surgical precision. They're not going to just throw a bunch of money in and see what the fuck happens. They're smart businessmen, and so I respect that. Live events for the time being really don't concern myself because I'm not, I'm not sure I will be there unless they just need an agent. I did agent the last run of house shows that TNA did all by myself. I just showed up and I thought there would be another agent. They said, no, it's just you. And I go, oh, okay. Let's see how this works.
Well, yeah, we'll obviously talk about that during a show where we talk about agenting, because I think that's an interesting story in its own, doing that all by yourself.
Yeah, I just knew there'd be somebody there to walk me through my first, house show by myself. Nope. It gave me I didn't even know who was on the show. I was like, yeah, okay. So that isn't something that I've actually inquired about too much. I've heard it mentioned, but for the time being, I'm more focused on the TV product.
Now I'll transition into this unfortunate situation for Impact in a more lighthearted manner. Is Rebby Hardy legally able to claim you on her taxes as she says she is?
No, she took my joke and snagged my joke. She bootlegged my joke because I said, I'm going to put them on my taxes because I'm trying to calm her ass down when she's about to lose it.
Oh, she lost it.
No, of course. It's never really always there. It's always this far away from losing it with young Rebecca, or Debbie Sky, as I like to call her. But yeah, the situation seems to be pretty calm down there. It is what it is. It happens. So here we are.
Is that awkward for you? I mean, those are your buddies, and yeah, I'm sure ideally you'd love your buddies to be working with you, but it doesn't always work out like that.
Yeah, it's awkward. I caught a little bit of that shrapnel heat, as they say in the business, the guilt by association. But me, Matt, Jeff, and throw Shannon in there. We always are connected. If one of us fucks up, we're all guilty of it somehow. And if, one of us does good, it kind of, by the same token, we all get the credit for it. So, that is what it is. I caught a little bit of the deal, got drug in the middle a little bit, but, going by these tapings, once I got to work, it was what it was. Now let's get to work and make the best of an awkward situation. And that's what we did. I had to go get the fucking tag team belts. If you want a little bit of information for you there, yeah, because we needed them for the tapings.
On Twitter saying those are replicas that you all have.
Oh, is it? No, they're the fucking real belts because I had to go get the motherfuckers. Yeah, so I was asked to go get them, and I was like, "What?" So they're not going to keep the damn belts. Yeah. Well, it wasn't awkward because Matt and Jeff didn't want the belts. I mean, they were never going to keep them. They're honest human beings. You can say what you want about all of us, but you can't say that we're thieves and shit.
No.
So it wasn't a problem with them actually wanting to keep the belts or anything like that. It's just we needed the belts, and I'm the closest one near them that's under TNA payroll. So it just happened to be that, and that they knew I'm sure the office knew that if anybody could get them out of a situation, it would be me. And just went down there, and they didn't give a shit. So I got to hang out with my buddies anyway, so that's no big deal to me. Just went and got them, but I didn't. I was supposed to ship them, but I didn't ship them. I just put them in my suitcase and took them to TV.
Was that fun going through TSA with those?
Fucking things. You got two of those belts, man. It's heavy as shit. So I'm about blew my shoulder out dragging them things to the airport. But
yeah, and you all will see why that would be a major concern soon enough. But because I don't want to give away too much of the TV. You all got some interesting stuff coming up, though. I'm really excited to check it out. So there were rumors that apparently TNA Impact. It's such a transition. Tried to maybe get an extension to get them just to appear on TV to drop the titles, or maybe wanted to add another year into the contract. Were you surprised when the deal just didn't get done?
I kind of always thought that it might get done. It was because I've seen this a million times in the business. People go back and forth, and then at the final hour it gets put together. So it was a bit of a surprise to see that it fell through, but at the same time, it wasn't a surprise because I've seen it go both ways a million times. In this business, two things happen with contracts: either there's a creative difference or there's a money difference, and it's 99 times out of 100 is always those two things. Always just one of those two things, unless you just get fucking fired or something like that. But it's either creative or money, and I don't get into details with my buddies' deals. I don't want to know anybody's money. I help people get bookings all the time. I help my friends get, and even not my friends. If a promoter needs somebody else's contact, I've gone out of my way to try to find contact for certain people, and it's well, what do you think he wants to get paid? I'm always listen, I don't know what the fuck they get. I don't want to know. And that's how you stay friends in this business. You know, I keep out of people's money, you know, stay out of mine, I'll stay out of yours. And that's how it is. So I don't know any details about anybody's contracts, but obviously somebody wasn't happy on one side. Maybe they weren't happy on both sides. I'm not sure exactly what the negotiation sequence of events was, but I knew somebody wasn't happy. And like I said, I've seen that happen a million times. So there wasn't a lot I was putting into it. You know, I was hoping that my friends, because they are, you know, some of my best friends, would still be in that company. So that's where the main disappointment came from for me, was that these are my buddies, and I, you know, I've loved it and enjoyed working with them. So,
I mean, Matt recommended you for the gig, didn't he?
He was definitely one of the ones that spoke up, you know, the loudest for me. So, so yeah, you know, so it was weird in that aspect that these are my buddies. But
now, one of the people I spoke to backstage said that they thought that TNA did God damn it, they thought that Impact did a good job with how they handled that situation financially, because the thought was, well, they're saving a lot of money by not having the Hardys and Drew Galloway, but they brought in like 10, 15 new guys, basically a reallocation sort of deal. What did you think about all the new faces? How did they settle in at the Impact tapings?
How the new faces, everybody was really happy there. So, you know, it's always been a good atmosphere at TNA. And I've said that time and time again when I was the first one out of that whole roster to go to task over this bad morale bullshit that kept being put out. You know, I was the one that attacked everybody. I'm like, no, that's bullshit. I don't want to hear about your backstage sources or your unnamed sources or all that shit. Because I got a name and it's Shane Helms. And I'm telling you, that's the one area in all of the company where everything's fine. You know, the talent is fine. I mean, you might have one person here and there that's upset because they're not the fucking world champion. But that is what it is. You know, as far as just the overall general mood and feeling, you know, I mean, that's the one area in all of that company that there never was a problem. You know, since I've been there, you know, go back to years before me, and I don't have anything to do with that shit. But you know, a lot of new faces, so everybody was pretty happy. You know, if I'm being fully honest, like that first day, there was like a weird vibe because of the guys that we lost, and what does this mean going forward? But once we got in the meat of the tapings, man, everybody's working, and they see that the stories are good and the energy was back up. And you got young kids out there, and they're just busting their ass. They don't know what the hell any of the, you know, none of the changes affected them anyway. They're just there to get jobs, you know. So it was good. It was good to see young people trying to get jobs. You know, we had a couple misses, but so most of the new people that we brought in, man, there's a bright upside to this. There's young kids. I feel weird saying young kids. I don't feel that old, but they are kids compared to me. So.
Everybody I spoke to were really happy about the shorter tapings too. What does it say to you that this regime is willing to do tapings more often and shorter?
Well, I think we answered that last week, but you know, I'll rehash that. But it's better for the talent. You know, it keeps the energy up when you're not. You know, I mean, long tours are exhausting. That's you know. That would be anybody would tell you that, but it's exhausting for the fans as well, you know, because a lot of the fans from that impact zone, you know, are the regulars, you know, and we do 8 or 9, 10 days. By that 10th day, they're just as exhausted as we are, maybe not physically, but mentally. And the energy that you have inside your body to yell and scream, I mean, you just get tired. Fatigue sets in. And when the audience fatigue, man, that's worse than, you know, actual performer in fatigue, because you want that energy. You know, pro wrestling is a very symbiotic relationship with its audience. You know, there's a give and take on the energy. You know, we give to you and you give to us, and that makes an overall better product. So if one side of that relationship doesn't have the energy, and much less if even both doesn't have it, you know, that could lead to some dull moments. But so I like the shorter tapings. You know, it'll be more money wise, production wise, but you know, obviously travel expenses. I guess the hotel will be about the same, but you know, it seemed to have a better vibe, you know, kept the energy up alive.
Impact needs to start putting these people in some Airbnbs, save some money. Also, people don't realize how many crew members are on Impact just because they don't see them. I mean, that's a thing that's often lost in translation. I mean, a lot of people just assume that every pro wrestler is an only child because you don't see their brother and their sister on TV all the damn time. like there was an Impact photo that was posted. You know, there's 60, 70 different crew members there for these tapings. So there's a lot of them that may face fatigue after 7, 8, 9 days in a row too.
No doubt.
Was there any mentions of running anything outside of Orlando at these tapings?
Yeah, there's still stuff being mentioned. You know, the UK, our UK TV situation is resolved. So there was a mention of tours international coming up more. India is still on the table. They want to keep that relationship with Sony 6 pretty strong. So there's definitely more and more talks about going out of Orlando. I wouldn't mind going back to where we did those tapings in Bethlehem, PA. You know, I really like that area. I like that venue. I didn't like all the in the casino it was a damn smoke fest. You know, evidently they didn't get the cancer memo that came out 40 fucking years ago. So, but the venue itself I really like. So I just like going to different places anyway. Give new fans a chance to see us, and that kind of fights that audience fatigue that I spoke of earlier.
There's a big report that came out that Scott Fishman was there, which I know he's been there before, and Jeff Jarrett's friends with him. When I asked about this, I was told, more importantly, Impact wants to make sure they're on HD everywhere. Like, they're not on HD for DirecTV, which is weird to me that DirecTV wouldn't cover or carry anything in HD, much less something like this. Of course, any wrestling company would like to be on a Spike, which will be Paramount next year. What do you think of the TV situation? I mean, I know you don't want to say anything like call the head of a company a dummy in an email, but what do you think of the TV situation there?
I mean, I'm not exactly certain how many people get pop and how many don't. I mean, obviously, it's still a little bit more difficult to find than what Spike is, you know, but if you're going to go that route, you're going to start comparing it to USA and all those other channels. You know, it is a younger network. But as long as Pop's involved, you know, I mean, I'm fine with that. I'm not in on any of those conversations whatsoever. We always want more eyes on the product. So anytime you can get more eyes on the product, obviously that's a goal. HD, you know, of course, to have it look better should always be a goal as well. So I got to imagine, you know, that's where everybody wants to be. Everybody wants the product to look the best, and they want the most eyes on the product, no matter what the case is.
I think Ring of Honor has a pretty nice approach to it, but I mean, their situation is much, much different because they are owned by a broadcasting company. They put their program online like maybe a week after it airs. Now, WWE can't even put their TV show on air on the network for like 30 days. So, I mean, I'm sure there's some sort of issues with TNA doing that as well. But, you know what makes me sad? All this Spike talk. I miss the glory days of Spike. And you were on Spike during the glory days of Spike. Remember that MXC show? Slam Ball. MXC, they would dub over the Japanese game show where they would just Guy LaDouche was his name.
Yeah, there was one. I remember one of the girls came out and she did this thing and it looked exactly like how Trish Stratus' entrance used to be.
Yeah.
But the voiceover goes, "I like hot dogs." And so every time Trish Stratus came out from that point on, when I would see it, I would go, "I like hot dogs."
Yes. So that was classic. They had Slam Ball, Pros versus Joes. They had the Robot Wars stuff. They had the Joe Schmo show. That was great. They had some good stuff. They really attacked that 18 to 34 male demographic back then. I miss those days.
In the Spike rebranding, and isn't it going to call itself something?
Paramount, yes.
I created a comic character named Paramount one time.
Did you?
Yep.
I guess everybody's bootlegging now. Is that what you would say? Is that what you'd say? Everybody's fucking bootlegging now?
No, I don't think there's been another superhero named Paramount. You don't really have a grasp of what that word means, do you?
I know what it means.
Dummy.
I'm trying to. I love that guy. I love that guy. I did that for a solid week after the first time I saw it on TV. And my wife was like, "God damn it."
I kept doing no yob to Karen, and she don't know what it means at all. And anytime she wants me to do something in the house, I just go no yob, and she's like, "What?" And then I do it real quickly before she hits me with a chair. But just
see the things that I'll bring up to my wife, like it won't be stuff that she sees on TV. Like I'm not gonna go out, well, except for the dummy, but I'm not gonna be like, My name is Enzo Amore. I'm always saying, like, are you going to get those gimmicks that come in the mail that they call bills? Or if she says something, I don't have a response. It's, well, one of those, like one of those. Paramount. Yeah. So I talked to some people in Bellator, and initially some of those people were a little worried. They're like, well, shit, we don't know if we're going to find a home here, even though they're owned by Viacom. So that made me wonder, well, what could be the future of pro wrestling? But apparently they still have plans for Bellator, which is good news for other things in that 18 to 34 male demographic. Because you never know. They could have turned that shit into the Oxygen Network or something like that and just had Killer Wives or some show like that on there.
Yeah, we don't have enough of shows like that.
I don't know. With the direction of this Laurel Van Ness character, you might have fit on Oxygen. I heard that she like was fantastic at these tapings.
Yeah, she's going through some things. It's almost scary how good she is at this character, because that's one of those things. Whenever you see somebody just playing a raging psychopath, you always wonder, where are they channeling this from? You know,
Yeah.
It's not like they did any method acting to get here. I wouldn't imagine so. But yeah, she's doing really great. So,
well, I'm particularly happy to see this because she got a bit of a negative reputation. Really, no fault of her own when she was involved in that. I think it was the Daniel Bryan, Stephanie McMahon storyline, and that was just bad shit she had to do. Like, it was terrible.
I didn't even know that was her.
It was a cameo like years ago, and then she was on Tough Enough, and Daniel Bryan brought it up. He was like, "You tried to ruin my relationship on TV."
I have no idea what you've been talking about.
Oh yeah, I'll have to send it to you. But I heard she was phenomenal at these tapings.
I'll tell you a funny story about when I first saw her in it was actually at those Bethlehem tapings I spoke of before. You know, I'm never like quite sure when I meet somebody if I met them before, because I do so many indie shows, you know, and I meet so many people, and it's impossible for me at this point to remember every person I meet. So a lot of times I go, have we met before? You know, and just being courteous, you know, so I don't have to pretend I know who the fuck they are. Because when they start talking to me and like I can tell I've met them before, but I don't know where. Sometimes I do try to just kind of go along with it, and I'm hoping out of the context of what they say, I can pick it apart and puzzle it together and figure out where I know them from. But sometimes I'll just be like, I don't know what the fuck you're talking about. But this girl, you know, I said, have we met before? She goes, your face looks familiar.
What the hell else is going to look familiar?
So I knew well, that was the thing. Like, you're supposed to be this long-time wrestling fan. I'm like, my face looks familiar. Really? Well, I've only been on TV for 15 years. Thanks for watching. So I immediately had to text Lance and go, here's what she said. And of course, he popped huge. And Lance Storm, I mean, he trained her. So yeah, it is a big funny thing now. But yeah, your face looks familiar. And I just go, does it now? Like, I never get mad at that. Some guys try to like create a weird situation like that, but I never get mad. It kind of keeps me grounded.
Guys, I'll be talking about a lot more of this stuff as it unfolds on TV, because I don't want to spoil the show that's going to air every weekly. So me and Shane are going to make this, like, talking about some of the moves, like, probably a regular thing. Now, I'm not giving anything that Ed Nordholm didn't put on his Twitter. Yeah. Alberto El Patron is in TNA. Or Impact, son of a bitch!
Look at
messing
you.
It up.
See, this is some really bad reporting right here from Sean.
It is. I was told he was, quote, a joy to deal with backstage.
Yeah, it was great, man. I was happy, good mood. You know, and we're giving advice to some of the young guys that came back after matches and stuff. So yeah, man, he was a pleasure to work with, and I'm really glad we got him. I've wanted him to be there for a while. You know, he's just, man, he's kind of got it all. He's got the look, he's got the charisma, the energy, he's got a presence about him that, you know, this guy's a big deal. And so, yeah, we really looked out. That was one of those deals where he came in and filled the spot that was supposed to be by Drew Galloway. There were a couple other names that were thrown out in the mix, but we ended up with the best possible scenario in getting ADR, and ended up being a blessing in disguise.
You mean AEP?
Oh yeah, AEP. Sorry.
He was ADP for a second until you all fixed the Titantron thing. It came up as Alberto De Patron.
It did?
Yeah, and then they fixed it immediately.
Oh, I have no idea.
But yeah, I was happy to see that. He's like, you put him in there with Bobby Lashley, I mean, this guy has a shoot background too. He competed in MMA for a long time. So, like, say you all bring in a Josh Barnett or somebody like that. This is a guy who can hang with that style. He's so good at adapting to styles. I mean, he's always been good at that.
And I think it makes, pro wrestling look good when you got guys that can actually kick people's ass as opposed to, a bunch of backyard bullshit that can't really beat nobody up. So we got guys that are legitimate athletes, and not to say athletes, but just legitimate badasses and tough guys. I think that helps. They really don't have to really put on a facade at that point because, you got Bobby Lashley, Alberto, Josh, Drew Galloway's the guy in there too. That these guys could, beat 90%.
Matt Riddle told me that like Trevor Lee has rolled with him before. Like they've grappled before like shows start. So I mean, yeah, you're starting to see this really, really become like it. I love that the marriage is coming back with that. You all ran a Bellator versus UFC fighter last week.
Yeah. So
I mean, where else are you going to see that? I thought that was
you want unpredictability. There's only one place to find it.
Yeah, I mean that's why that does bother me if I see somebody say, "Well, the show's predictable, but they read the spoilers." Well, don't read the spoilers. Unfortunately, I have to. If I could avoid all spoilers, I would love to. But what else we got here? Oh, ODB's back. That was in an Ed Nordholm picture too. That guy gives me lots of material to talk about this week.
Oh yeah.
ODB, obviously a pal of Jeff Jarrett, but she was at the deletion tapings too.
Yeah, she's a girl that I think she's always in the conversation of when we're talking about bringing back past girls or using different girls or whatever for those one night only all knockout pay-per-views. Her name's just always in the mix, and she's always exciting, and fans always love her. No matter how long she's there or how long she's away, when she comes back, they take to her just like as if she's never left. So, and she's a fun human being to hang around with too, man. She's the ODB.
Did she bring her food truck?
I think it was down there because I think she's getting ready for something like maybe Daytona Bike Week or some shit. She's probably just staying down there. Yeah, she loves that, man. She just seems like one of these nomadic personalities that just like came from Kung Fu. She just wanders the earth and she's happy as hell doing what she wants to do. It's definitely not the leave it to Beaver white picket fence situation with her. She's doing her own thing, and that's pretty cool to me. I respect that.
Crazy to think she got passed up on Tough Enough. Like looking back, like she was there are so many people that got like Davari that got passed up, like just Awesome Kong got overlooked on Tough Enough. There are a lot of names.
I have like no recollection of I never really gave a shit about Tough Enough. So anytime you're talking about, I have no idea what you're talking about.
I went back and watched them when they added them to the network, and you'll see a lot of them in submission videos, and then some of them would make like the final 40, and then you find like I Wikipedia'd this and I would just see names and names and names that they forgot. And I was like, but you all got that Daryl guy whose balls were hanging out of his shorts. And Triple H had to be like, by the way, big guy, your nuts fell out of your shorts when you took that bump.
Why did you say you guys got that guy with his balls hanging out?
WWE at the time. It was you. You hired everybody.
Yeah, I wasn't in on the ball hanging out process.
Speaking of, John Gaborik had his role switched a little bit. Did you see a lot of that at the tapings? Did a lot of people have like some new roles?
No, not at all. It's kind of business as usual. We had a couple more people in the creative meeting. Scott Demore, obviously Jeff and Dutch being in there was three people. Bruce was joining in on the post-show meetings and stuff. And actually, he was on the pre-show meetings too because he sat behind me. So a little bit more people in the creative, and as long as they're good ideas, I had this talk with one of the guys. It's like, sometimes you can have too many chefs in the kitchen, and I get what he's saying. But if they're all good ideas, I never see a process. I never see a problem with that. If you can never have too many good ideas. You just got to have somebody that's willing to do the work to go through them all.
Sure.
When somebody says that whole thing about having too many chefs in the kitchen, sometimes it's just this person doesn't want to do the work and find a good idea. They don't want to listen to all these different ideas because that takes time, that's consuming, and they want to rush and do a rush job. But if you're getting a lot of good ideas, man, I would consider that a blessing, and that's the way I look at it. So some of those meetings, those post-show meetings went a couple hours into the night, and into the early morning. And it really wore the agents out and creative out, man. But the next day it was well worth it because we put together some really good shit. And it was because of that. So, talking to Jeff on that last night, I said, that was a good idea. It worked for me. I can put the time in, I can do the work. So you're not going to hear any complaints from me.
Few people weren't at the tapings. I was told Aaron Rex was off filming a movie. Robbie E was in Japan, but Grado, Jesse Goddard, Aiden O'Shea, anything like they still with the company? Those last three?
As far as I know, I didn't hear anything about those guys not being with the company. So the only ones I know that aren't with the company are Hardy's, Drew Galloway, Mike and Maria Bennett, and
Jade.
Yeah, so 50 Shades of Jay.
What do you think of Mike and Maria being gone?
Fuck
them?
No, not fuck him. I like him. I like Mike Bennett a lot. I was, tried my best to help him as much as I could up there. We had a couple pep talks when they were frustrated about things. So I helped them out when I could. At the end of the day, it's up to them. It's their life, their families, and so they got to make the decision that's best for them, whether I'm cool with it or not. I was kind of more upset at Little Mandrews because we had just turned his ass heel, and I wanted the resolution to that story, and he bounced on us. I wish he would have stuck around and just finished that little story, but at the same time, I wanted him to have the opportunity that he got with that UK tournament. So I understood that, but Mike and Maria, it is what it is. It's the same thing. It's either creative differences or money differences, and if they're not happy there and they got opportunities elsewhere, then that's their decision at the end of the day to make.
You all had several people from the Monster Factory. Is that somewhere that you all just actively said, hey, let's bring in several people from there? I mean, they've produced some pretty good talent, but I noticed in particular, without naming names, there were several guys from there.
Several? How many?
I think 3. I don't know if one was even on TV though.
I knew of 2. I didn't know how many. I don't know what you meant by several.
I don't know if QT Marshall was on TV or not.
I'm not even sure who that is. But I don't know that has anything that would be negative about the Monster Factory. I don't think there's anything to say about them right now. So just always, you should always be looking for new talent. You should always be looking for new stars. And everybody that I saw that came out of there did really well. So if that's a place to go, then I'm fine with wherever it comes from.
Also, there's the Crash deal now. How do you think that will affect the X division?
How will it affect the I can't see anything negative coming out of that. If we can get some of those luchadors to jump back in there, but at the same time, I don't want the luchadors to just be regulated to the X division. Because you see the X division style in tag team wrestling now. You see it in the heavyweight division. It has nothing to do with that division anymore. That's my biggest problem with that. Just that stereotypical it's a style thing that doesn't make any fucking sense to me whatsoever anymore. It doesn't exist.
So what would you do to define the X division, or do you want to define the X division? Because the thing used to be no limits, all that. But now,
that don't even make no fucking sense. That still doesn't make any sense. Yeah. What the fuck does that mean? No limits. That's what pro wrestling is. Pro wrestling is amateur wrestling without the limits. So what the fuck does this X division thing mean? That's what drives me crazy about it. That's just a bumper sticker. It's not about fucking weight limits. Is about no limits. That's just a fucking bumper sticker. That doesn't mean anything. What does it? It's just bad. Like if you take any kind of writing classes, and I have, that's you get an F for this assignment to explain what this fucking division means. Because nobody can. It's just bad writing to say it's a style. That's weak. That's a shortcut. It's a cop-out. I got a couple ideas, and I don't want to say what they are because I might spoil them if they take one. And there's one that's kind of at the forefront that they might bite on. And so I don't want to give that away. But we just got to give it an identity, and it isn't about just the guys that can do a fucking moonsault. That doesn't mean anything to me. That doesn't mean that you're the greatest wrestler in the world because you can do a fucking moonsault. That has nothing to do with anything. But to your point about the Crash, any guy that's talented, I don't care what promotion he comes from. If he's talented, he can help Impact out, then I'm all for it,
Moose said on Twitter that he is willing to defend his grand championship anywhere. What do you think about that?
Good for him.
I think it's a good idea to raise the profile and maybe get over that kind of match that you don't see anywhere else.
Yeah, but that's the thing. He's got to do there's 3 rounds though. He's got to do them like that everywhere he goes, and have judges. So now these companies are going to have to get judges. And who are these judges? What are their criteria? What's the qualifications? That's what I
hope you all emulate the Woodley Wonder Boy rematch on TV.
Hey, I picked Woodley, but it sounds like he really didn't win that fight. UFC had a couple bad pay-per-views or a couple bad shows.
I'll talk about that a little bit. You didn't get to see it, did you? You were at the tapings.
No, I was at the tapings and very disappointed in Khabib. You know, talking to Conan, he was there. You know, we talk about MMA a lot.
Heartbreaking.
Yeah, I don't know if I was heartbroken, but I was.
I was looking forward to that about as much as any lightweight fight that I think I've ever looked forward to in my life.
Yeah, I was just wondering where they're going with this forward though, because you can't punish Ferguson. It's not his fucking fault. Mm-hmm. You know, I heard that they had a couple other fights possibly lined up for him that just aren't in line of what his trajectory should be. You know,
they tried to pay him less.
And pay him less, yeah. I mean, he doesn't get a win for this fight, but it definitely shouldn't be an L for him. You know, he's the one moving forward. He made weight. He was there. He was ready to go. You know, Khabib is the one that had to forfeit, not him.
Becky Lynch's boyfriend put an ass whooping on Yuri Alcantara and then got knee barred out of nowhere. It's a shame. They showed her on TV too. That was kind of
must have not have been that good of an ass whooping then.
He put the pain on him. It was an all-time. Well, not an all-time. It was probably comeback of the year until the fight right after that.
Was it Anderson Silva, Chael Sonnen level of a comeback?
It was like, if you saw it, I'd have to see how many strikes he landed. He was like the ground and pound on this show. We saw some beautiful ground and pound on this show, but he was really putting the pain on Yuri Alcantara. But as soon as he was very smart about it too, he saw as soon as Alcantara got hips down on that knee bar, and he had him at the ankle, not at the knee where a lot of people do. As soon as he went hips down, Luke Sanders is like, get me out of here. I want to fight again in 3 or 4 months.
Oh, good. Well, that's smart. I haven't seen
Luke Sanders landed 94 significant strikes to Alcantara's 23.
That sounds pretty close.
Yeah.
I haven't seen a good knee bar in a while, though. I got to watch that.
It was really good. It was up until that main event, the show was pretty damn good. And then they stared at each other for 24 minutes, and then Woodley put the pain on him for about a minute, and then.
Did you see Dana's promo about people that think they deserve big fights and big pay-per-view fights?
What'd you think about that?
See that? Yeah. Shut the fuck up. That's basically what he's telling everybody. So that's pretty funny.
He says everybody wants a money fight. You're not a money fight.
Yeah, that was great. So Tyrone's got all the potential in the world, man. To be, you know, he's I don't know. He's boring and he'll talk. Sometimes he's boring to watch fights. So.
Well, let me tell you, if you don't like that fight, you're probably a racist.
Oh, of course. Yeah. I am racist against boring fighters.
So GSP's back and he's booked against Michael Bisping. What do you think about that booking? And after he beats Michael Bisping, what do you think of when they pass Yoel Romero again and book GSP against Anderson Silva?
This is pro wrestling 101. I mean, it is what it is. You know, has he ever fought at middleweight ever?
Never.
And so he's getting a shot after a 5-year layoff at the middleweight championship.
Not only that, he's talked more over the past couple of years about fighting at 155.
It'll be interesting. It'll be interesting to see if he could hold Bisping down, if he can out-wrestle Bisping, and Bisping can throw them hands too. You know, so St. Pierre's been knocked out by smaller people than Michael Bisping, so Bisping could definitely end it. You know, if it's in Montreal, is that where it is?
No, I think it's going to be in Vegas. They don't have anything set. They don't have anything set. What happened is GSP entered himself into the USADA testing pool like in November when he was trying to make a comeback. Now, the deal is he would have had the Brock Lesnar treatment. All these people are like, Brock had special treatment. No, what the situation was is the UFC had to treat him as if he were a brand new fighter because he never has contractually agreed to, I'm subjecting myself to USADA testing. George was the same way. So he entered himself in because he wanted to do it the right way. He didn't want to do it the way that they did. But here's the thing. When negotiations looked bad, he said, well, I'm tired of telling them where I am every day. If this deal's not going to happen, I'm pulling myself out of the pool. When you pull yourself out of the pool, that's like you're retiring. So he had to reset the entire process. So now he does have to wait 4 months.
Gotcha. Because it came out at first, I thought I heard something when he might fight Nick Diaz in Montreal, and that would have been pretty hot too. So,
only people Diaz brothers want to fight are people that beat them already.
So all the fans complaining about the Goldberg or complaining about Josh Barnett walking in and getting a shot. See, this is real life, man. This shit really happens in real life.
Get what you can take.
Suck it.
Yep. I'm with you, man. You get what you can take. And if you're better at something naturally than somebody who's worked forever, I mean, shit.
That's just how it is. Yeah.
Hey, was Paige backstage with Alberto?
Yep.
Neat. What you got going on? You got a lot of shit going on, man.
Every fucking thing in the world. It all comes out of nowhere sometimes too. Like sometimes you just have a kind of, not that I ever don't have anything going on. I've always got something going on. But here lately, I've been bombarded with a lot of stuff. But it's pretty exciting. I like working. I like staying busy. I hate that fucking treadmill. I got to be honest with you though. But I'm on it every day, twice a day sometimes 3 times a day.
Damn.
So it is what it is. I got back in the ring for the first time in a while. First time since
I wasn't going to say anything, but you revealed it. Yeah, let's talk about it.
Yeah, the fucking shit hurts.
How'd you feel? Well, you said it hurts. How did it?
I feel like a fucking old man that hadn't been in the ring in 10 months is what I felt like. But I've done spots with them, with TNA where they're getting bumped around and stuff like that before. So it's not like I haven't bumped or anything. It was just I'm just really fucking good at this shit, Sean Sapp. Let me just tell you. I'm just good.
We're not going to have you on here if you're shitty at it, at wrestling. It's not what we do.
But still, no matter who you are, there's always that thought in your head, what if I get out there and I just can't fucking rock and roll no more? So, but apparently it turned out okay, and we'll see if it leads to anything else. But I've said time and time again, I'm not opposed to just standing in the background and letting the young guys get the shine a little bit. So if we got something good and I can continue to rock and roll, I'm not opposed. But I like being the manager. I like I like going to bed.
Like being a scumbag on TV.
Yeah, that's not hard for me at all. I like not hurting, but but at the same time, I had fun out there, and I've been thinking about it ever since I got home. And I got some matches coming up and starting not this weekend, but next weekend. I'm starting back heavy in the ring again. So enough downtime. I took the last half of the year off last year after Iraq and stuff like that. Just had a lot going on with the moves from, and we talked about this. I bought a new home for myself, bought a new home for my father. So getting everybody all settled in and stuff like that. And it just took a while spending some time with the kids and the family and all that. Man, we was out in the garden planting gardens and shit. I don't know if you know that, but that is fucking work. That is some bullshit too. Yeah. You ain't just
build a walkway right now. It sucks.
It ain't just dropping seeds every fucking now and then. You got to do all kinds of bullshit. So, did that a couple hours of that, and I was fucking done for that day. But everything's great, man. Well, I got no complaints.
You seem unusually lighthearted this week.
When am I ever not lighthearted?
Shit.
When I've only ever yelled at you one time, and that was about the good hand comment.
Yeah. And you said Jim Ross could say that. Jim Ross, I think it was off the record, but he said, you know what, Sean, you can use that term. I think you're the greatest wrestling journalist ever. You can use that term.
I'm gonna say 100% that is not true. Any of it.
You're actually right. This will be your first nationally televised match since when? Were some of them from Lucha Libre USA nationally televised?
Yeah, it was on MTV too.
Yeah. So since then, that's been several years, right?
And MTV2 goes all over the world. So, yeah.
There you go.
Yeah, so just 2 years.
Man.
As far as being an actual competitor, I've definitely got in there and got hurricaned by Gabby Raquel, whatever her name was, you know,
Yeah.
have them X Division guys jumping all over my head and shit. So
now if we could just get you out of that Inoki contract.
Yeah, I just can't get out of that. I'm not even going to be able to work with Noah, I don't think. I got that life-term deal with IGF.
You should maybe talk to Josh about that. Inoki loves him.
I'm sure he might.
Anything you want to let the people know before we go?
Just keep watching Impact Wrestling, not TNA, on Pop TV.
Damn right.
Thursday nights, 8 o'clock. And I want to say this too. And I got to say this. Because everybody jokes about that damn soap opera show that comes on before Impact.
Schitt's Creek?
No, that comes on after. Schitt's Creek's a good show. It's an actual soap opera, like fucking Days of Our Lives or something like that. I don't know what it is. But you know, some of those hardcore wrestling fans joke about that. And so I was watching SmackDown. This is Wednesday, so last night watching Randy and AJ. That was a good ass match. That Chris Lee Knows Best show is the worst fucking thing.
It's terrible.
And I dislike the commercial so much it makes me not even want to watch the show. Like I was like, if I see this motherfucker come up on this screen one more time, I am just done. And so I don't want to hear no more complaints about anything on Pop TV as long as Chris Lee Knows fucking Best is on USA. I don't want to hear nothing. I'm laying the gauntlet down, Sean Sapp. I don't want to hear shit about shit as long as Chris Lee Knows Best is on my TV.
Oh, it's trash. I hate it. I hate the inference that they put in all the commercials. Like, is he really gay? Is he not gay? All that stuff. And he's on there saying,
I don't care if it's raining dicks. He's not funny and he's annoying as shit to me.
Exactly. That's what they build this on. And I'm like, I don't give a shit about it.
I don't care.
Yeah, it's terrible. It's so terrible. I change the channel while I'm doing my podcast when it comes on. I mean, hey, people want to trash what came on before. For years before Raw, I had to watch the very confusing last 4 minutes of Murder, She Wrote. And I never knew what the fuck was going on. I just know that this little woman's a serial killer because everywhere she goes, somebody's getting killed.
It was really her the entire time.
It was her.
I believe that too. I remember in WCW with the standards and practices people in that last year, we couldn't show blood of any kind. Like somebody got their fucking head, you know, like I broke my nose on TV and they had to zoom the camera out and this weird shit. But as soon as it went off the air, it'd be like a Rambo marathon where like 100 people got murdered in the first 30 minutes. Like that was okay. But somebody getting their nose busted on Monday Night Nitro or Thunder, we can't have that shit. But
Mortal Kombat used to air after Nitro.
This murder shit, that's all right.
Yeah.
TV is weird.
Somebody removing a spine through another guy's asshole is okay on Mortal Kombat Annihilation, but
now, is that any weirder than Triple H's head coming out of his own ass by another guy on the table who's not even him?
You're the one who didn't want to do it, right?
No, I didn't say I never wanted to do it. I just thought it was odd. No. It was odd play. It was an odd thing to do. But I was going, if I got a mask on and I wear a mask, are they even going to know it's me? Like, if they don't know it's me, then why the fuck is it me? It could just be anybody. And I was going, I'm the game. I got the worst. I can't do impressions anyway, so.
Well, if Suicide is on Impact Wrestling getting stuff pulled out of his ass, we're going to know who cooked up the idea.
Hey,
guys, follow at Fightful Wrestle, at Fightful MMA, at Fightful Online. The show will move back to Fridays. Moving forward, we will be talking about some of the new things that are happening on Impact Wrestling, and we will have a topic-driven show. We'll talk about Shane's WrestleMania experiences as we get closer to WrestleMania. Shane, anything else to tell the people before we GTFO?
No, man, that's it. Just keep watching Impact. Stick with at Shane Helms cross-platform. I've been told my Instagram is the greatest Instagram account of all time. Just so you know.
Pretty good.
I do come up with some stupid ass shit, and I make most of my memes. Most of my memes, my memes, as the Disco Inferno dumbass likes to call them. So yeah, that's it, man. That's all I got. That's all I got for this evening, except for my Dawn of the Shred T-shirt, which we forgot to acknowledge in the beginning. You see that shit?
Yeah, I like that. That's awesome.
Every week, an awesome T-shirt. And you
got a Kevin Nash shirt on this week. There you go.
Boom.
Oh, hey, here's another one. Here's another one. Did Alberto Del Rio fight a Ninja Turtle backstage?
There were no Ninja Turtles harmed in the filming of these Impact tapings.
Listen, wrestling and Ninja Turtles are married at this point. I mean, you got Sheamus, he's rock steady. Kevin Nash was Super Shredder. Alberto Del Rio beat the shit out of Rafael in Mexico. Like,
what if you found out that Kevin Nash put him up to it?
It would make a lot of sense. It would make a lot of sense.
See what I did?
Ooh.
I just bought that shit full circle.
You get that one for free, Wrestling World. We're out.